what I'm going to talk about today is my latest MacGyver. I don't even know how this happened or why this happened, but it was ironic that this kind of came together as it is. I went to a resale shop some months back and I was able to purchase a couple of bags of used crayons. And I came home and I sat on the bags for a while, and then I decided, okay, let's separate them. I had the Crayola crayons in one box and the non-Crayolas in another box. Let me show you one of the boxes. This is the one I call the junk box. This is all the non-Crayola crayons for doing my Martha Seeking for Art Encaustic work. These are some purchased, but they're mostly the crayons that I got. I've bought over time, and I got at the resale shop. And I love doing Martha's technique of melting the crayon and applying it to the Bristol paper and everything. It's highly addictive. It's so much fun. Anyway, what I found is when I was using the different irons, you have to peel the paper away. So I figured out a way to get the paper off fairly easy. I shared that some time back. What you do is, if the crayons are fairly new, it's a lot easier. I use a tomato paste can and I fill it with tap water, as hot as I can get it, and then I just drop the crayons in and the paper just unrolls. Easy peasy. So about a week ago, I decided that I've burnt my fingers a few times with these tiny little sticks. The way they melt so fast and everything, and they break, and then you end up with these little stubby bits. So what I decided to do is to go through all my stubby bits and turn them into something different. So I had seen some silicone ice cube trays. I didn't want characters or any of that stuff. So I picked up these ice cube trays at Bed Bath & Beyond. And what I started doing, see, this is too warm still, is I put the broken crayons in here and then I melt them in the oven. And my recipe for doing this is I have an electric oven. And what I do is I preheat the oven to 235 degrees. And I put these, and I had, you know, big bundles of solid colors and stuff. So this is what I've been doing, is I use this muffin for, it will hold up to 16 crayons in one container. These will hold up to 6 crayons broken up into each container. What I do is I put this in the oven that's preheated to 235 degrees, and I set the timer for 45 minutes because that's just what I found with my oven. It takes 45 minutes to melt all the little stubs so that it's liquid. Then I turn off the oven and I leave this in the oven. I took this out to show it to you. If you notice, I do not clean it out in between uses, and I have not had a problem. So I melt them, and then I just let it cool in the oven for a few hours until they break away from the silicone. That means they're pretty firm. And this is what you get. They are little blocks, which are easier for me to hold for some reason, and they don't break so easy unless it's just a single crayon. Now this would be 2 crayons, this would be 3 crayons. And what happens at the 235 degree mark in my oven is, as they cool, the wax comes to the surface and settles, and what you have on the bottom is pure pigment. I like that. And it just so happened this week while I was out shopping, I went to Joann Fabrics, and I happened to run into the Purple Cow brand of pure encaustics. Now, I'd looked at them before, but they were really pricey. This little 12mm block of encaustic cost normally $4 a piece. I found them on clearance at Joann's. I was able to get a complete set of their basic colors for $2 a piece. Now there is no wax in these. This is pure encaustic. So I hurried up and got all 20 that I could find. And so here is an encaustic crayon or encaustic wax, and here's Mitzi's encaustic wax. Ta-da! So I had 2 sets, besides all my broken crayons and everything. I had 2 sets of 150 Crayola crayon sets, so I just threw them all together. So that's why you see different sizes. And this last batch that I made is barely going to fit in this box, but we're talking a couple hundred, 300 or 400 crayons is in this box, all melted up. And I can see every color I have at a glance. Now this was a single crayon, and yeah, I broke it. The other bit's in here somewhere. So needless to say, in the next couple of weeks, I am going to be having an absolute ball making encaustic projects. And I just thought I would share my MacGyver tip with you. I don't have a gas stove, but what I would tell you to do is to put your gas stove on just slightly above 200 degrees and put a thermometer in it, because if you start it at 230 degrees, the wax does not separate. It's that magic number of 235. For some reason, the wax will separate. And at that low temperature, you don't get the heavy melting of wax scent or smell. It's not unbearable, and it's not noticeable, and it's not like lingering. So that is my trick and my tip for Mitzi MacGyver. I hope you enjoyed it.